So this is Ryan, Mr. Wheels podcast, and we are here with a great guest by the name of this label Dolly Diva, also known as Damien Wildfong. And we are going to be talking about love in relationships. So I want to give the floor to my co-host because she's the one that wrote the show for today, and so she's going to take over. And here we go. How you doing, Damon?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. I thank you for having me, and I think this is going to be more of a regular thing. So I'm really excited to come on to Mr. Wheels and collaborate with your brand, my brand, Dislabeled Dolly Diva, the female perspective, and your brand. And we'll go into why my brand is called that another time. But I'd also like to. We have an impromptu special guest for the podcast. It's Barbie with a disability. She is a Nirvana fan, as you can see. And she actually brought it to my attention that she would like to talk about uh dating, particularly as a disabled person, within a sort of alternative scene. I think you could also talk to me about that, because it's a little bit different than, let's say, if I was looking for a partner at the country club. That's a
Okay.
little bit different than that. But anyway, that's part of the reason why I'm called Dislabeled Dolly Diva, because I am an adult Barbie collector, and I do use Barbie to talk about uh, ableism and disability rights. But that's part of my art practice. But what I would like to sort of begin the podcast with is, I think there's some things that we have to, like, there's some groundwork that we have to let our audience know. We have both been married in the past.
You're cutting out here and there. I can every other word.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now I can. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. We've both been married in the past, and I would you say, would
Nope.
it be?
It's not work. It's not. It's not working now.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. There's nothing.
Oh, you're back now. Okay, you're back.
Okay. Um. So sorry about the technical difficulties here, folks. This is a brand new platform we're using. But would you say, oh, what I was going to talk about was that me and you, the reason why we wanted to talk about this is we have both been married in the past, and I would say that since then and somewhat before, I've had every style or type of relationship that you could think of, without getting too personal. Um, a lot of times, the general public makes the general seemingly able-bodied public makes the assumption that we are not in relationships because we can't be, or that there's no one that wants to be in a relationship with us, and that is an ableist assumption. You should not
Yeah.
assume that of
Yeah.
a disabled
Yeah.
person. Um, that's an ableist assumption. And the truth is, at our age, at my age, I am many times, I would say for the first time in my life, voluntarily, not in a relationship, voluntarily
Yeah. I know. Me too.
not
Yeah.
looking, not because I haven't had experience. To the contrary, I've had a lot of experience, but a lot of different styles, relationships, people in general. And I would say, we were just talking about this before we came on. I would say I'm dating. I've been on some dates, but I'm not, actively looking to be in a traditional relationship, as it were. And so I kind of wanted to start talking about the assumptions that people make. What are some assumptions when you've had a partner? Do you want to talk about the era of dating girlfriends or being married?
Um, well, I have more experience in girlfriends than I do with marriage. Or as I can say, um, although I have dated two disabled persons before.
Mm.
They are compliant into more of a ableist mindset as well.
Yeah.
So comparison of the persons who this is my experience. The people that I date are handicapped or disabled, whatever you want to call it, or more ableist than the people that were able-bodied.
Wow. That's an
Yeah,
interesting perspective. I think there's something if for our audience that doesn't know it, that would be an example. I don't want to speak for somebody else's mind frame, but that would be an example of internalized ableism,
yeah.
meaning that there's so much ableism in society that it's bound to come into how we see ourselves. And I want to say something about internalized ableism. A lot of the disabled community um, really like we try to we take each other to task about that, and I think we need to be a little bit more forgiving in that regard, because a lot of times when people are being internalizing the internalized ableism, they don't even understand that that's what's happening. And at times internalized ableism is a matter of survival in a caregiving setting or something like that. You have to sort of go along to get along and to get the your basic needs met. That's not my experience because I've never been in that type of a caregiving setting. Or
Well, to make it clear, or make it, being honest of what I was that way as well. I got to the point where in my life where, being the disabled, I hated myself because no
Mhm.
one wanted me outside of the people that I was with, and I settled. See, that's my
Mhm.
problem on both ends of able body and disabled people. I settled with my
Mhm.
previous marriage. I don't want to give her name, but she was very internal ableist. And I
Yeah.
mean, when she denied it, denied it the whole time that we were together, and
Right.
she was just it was horrible, and that's when I was deconstructing myself of being part of that as well. It's been 15 years since I've done that, and I'm
It's
still
very
deconstructing.
Yes, yes, I would say that too. I'm still coming to conclusions and downright epiphanies about my 15-year relationship and marriage. Um, I would say that I have there's an opposite level of quote unquote ableism when it comes to quote unquote assuming that you have to settle. That's an ableist mentality um
Yeah.
too. However, I would say in my experience I have been attracted to and dated a lot of really dynamic folks.
Uh-oh,
um
we
just
lost you.
just oh
We lost your
oh
camera.
no, I don't know why I'm doing that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There we go.
Uh,
You're back.
I am okay. Oh, it's raining here, so maybe that's why we're having an issue. Um,
That's true.
so but I've dated a lot of really dynamic folks, like artists, musicians, very good looking people. Not to toot my own horn, but very good looking people. I've dated a diverse uh number of body types and people, and just um
You remember you and I went on a date once?
yes, yes, I remember that. And that was crazy because
We
remember
even
when
dated for one date, one night.
that was crazy because remember that waitress, she was totally drunk.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my god, that was crazy.
We went to this place called the Front Porch, which was totally inaccessible. And the waitress uh was absolutely wasted drunk that night. Remember that?
Yeah, I
And
remember. She
I
was
actually
slurring her words and everything, man.
yeah, I actually know her. And she was wasted drunk, and she later came to me and said that she had a drinking problem and got sober. And like, oh my
Awesome.
God, that was yes. And that I don't want to out her and name her, but like, yeah,
Right.
that was such a crazy date. But I'm glad that we went on it. It was, I often incorporate people that I've dated before into my like friendship network. I think that's a better way to do it. Maybe it's the Gen X in me that does that. But
Well,
once we
hey, can we have we introduce us to how you and I met though? I don't think they
oh,
know that.
okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So I was living. This is in probably in the first 3 years that I lived here. I was living in a little cottage on the Hillsborough River, uh, and I was really getting into my art life and that kind of thing. And essentially, you came and picked me up because you're my Uber driver, and I noticed that there was a wheelchair lift on the back of the van, and I got in the front seat. And then about halfway through our journey, I was like, "Hey, sir, do you have cerebral palsy?" And you're like, well, "Yes, I do." And I'm like, "Well, I have cerebral palsy too." So nice to make your acquaintance. So yeah, and then we sort of tried to I wouldn't say I tried to. It was just natural to want to get to know you in a somewhat romantic sense. That
Mhm.
wasn't abnormal for me. And I'm an artist and I'm a very tactile person, so I like people that are like really into being into life and like getting into life and doing things and everything like that. So I think our attraction to each other, as it were, was quite natural, but then it just evolved into a friendship. And
Yeah.
that's fine. That's the I'm gonna out myself here, but that's sort of the polyamorous part of myself. Like it's like it however the interaction evolves, and ours happened to evolve into a friendship, which I'm immensely glad about because we've
Yeah, me
collaborated,
too. Yeah.
we've had resources, we've used resources, we've come back in and out of each other's lives. Yeah, and I think it's funny that I'm gonna out your I'm gonna shout out your parents. I think it's funny
Oh god.
the whole time, like I think your parents have secretly wanted us to like get together or something, and it's
They
like, no,
still do. They still do. They still do.
they do. Okay,
Yeah, my,
that's
my mom, my mom's like, God damn it, what's you and Damon to get together? I'm like, Mom, no, we're just friends.
it's not that. It's not that. I mean, there has to. Yeah. Connie and Press, I hate to break it to you, but yeah, he's stuck with me, but not in the way that you'd like him to be stuck with me. He's stuck with me. And I think that can, I be a, a richer um having a friendship with you is been very important to me. So, and I'm glad
Yeah,
we're
I've been very blessed to know you and
to you.
growing up and that kind of thing.
I'm
Don't
glad
cry.
we're in contact, and that brings me to my next point. Like, like one of the reasons why we're back in contact is because unfortunately, you had a negative experience with someone that you were dating, um,
Hmm.
who I think it goes along with what I was saying. Like, I think there's an ableist assumption that we date ugly people, that we date people that are just like trashy, and they don't, and that's not true. Because
I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that.
let me explain something to the able-bodied public. A weirdo, like in my case, um, from a female perspective, like a weirdo incel that doesn't have any social skills is not the person that's going to be confident enough to approach me in a romantic manner. You know who is confident enough? Someone that has decided that they like me and they
Hmm.
find me intriguing on many levels, and is somewhat narcissistic enough to not care what other people think. They only care what they think, which in the beginning of the relationship is wonderful. It's wonderful. But then
Yeah.
slowly their narcissistic personality disorder comes out, and then it becomes a toxic environment.
Yeah, it can be.
Do you think
And
that
that's what happened to me. Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
kind of put on a backstory. I known this individual. I don't want to out her or anything, but I known this individual for about 15, 16 years. We dated off and on,
Yeah.
and we never. And I've always loved her. I still love her. I still. I mean, I desire her. I still want to be with her, but I mean, it's just very clearly that it's very toxic for the both of us to be
Yeah.
together. And that's why I chose to be single now, because I know I'm going to do comparison between my previous relationship and compare it to my current one if I were to have one. And I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to get out of it, the whole mindset of that.
Right. You're never going to, that's what kind of what I run into with the long-term relationships I have had. You're never going to have that amount of history with somebody, but maybe that's a good thing. You know? Like,
Well, I mean, and like I said, I met her through a friend of mine, and when I first met her, I told her we're gonna get together, we're gonna be together, and so sure enough, we did. We didn't we weren't legally married, but we had a ceremony, all that kind of thing, and you know, but it was just like we moved in together. They knew she knew exactly what she was getting herself into. Because currently, I was at the time before I moved, I lived in an ADA apartment that was completely self-contained, where I had full access. I can do the bathing on my own. I can get dressed on my own, all that kind of thing. And I got up and left that to move into this new apartment with my with my ex. Hold on, I gotta plug my microphone in.
Never trust a stripper named Angel. You could write a song.
Yeah, she was a stripper. Okay. Hold on, I'm plugging in my microphone.
Sex work is work. So hey, there you go. We're pro. We're pro.
Hey, I mean, hey, you get hey the pro sex work. You know,
super as long as everyone is consenting. So no sex.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying. Go ahead.
So anyways, I put a couple $1,000 down for an apartment. To for me to move in, moved everything out. It cost me arm and leg, and then I moved in. It was the first night was great, no problem. It was just like honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
So anyways, and then all of a sudden she would have an excuse. I'm not coming home from whatever she was doing during the day when I was working. And because she had a daughter, and we all three of us lived together, and she would be gone she was gone. I was there for 10 days total, and out of the 10 days, she was gone 4 days out of it, and I mean, I didn't have a bath. She couldn't get me into the bathtub. I couldn't get into my own, and so when I confronted her about it, and I confronted with her, and I think that might be a connection problem.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about. I mean, I sort of experienced this in my own life where your loved one has dual roles as caregiver and lover.
Oh yeah,
I've seen this play out in many different of my friends' lives. Some people can handle that, but most relationships on a certain level don't. I've seen it work, but I've also seen it just break up relationships because by and large, you end up, people think they're going to be able to handle it from a caregiving perspective, and really they're not. They're not prepared for the mind fuck that it is, because you don't want to make love to someone who's ass you're wiping. I'm sorry, I just, not to be graphic, but that's exactly the role. You don't you don't fuck someone that you're like giving care to. And that's part of, I guess that's part of your marriage vows, like in sickness and in health. That's in the lexicon of society, but it's also put in practice. It's very, very difficult. I always recommend to my disabled friends that are getting into interabled relationships. That's what but for people that don't know, when you have someone that's seemingly able-bodied that you're in a relationship with, and you have a disability or, physical, visible disabilities, the relationship is known as interabled. So there can be a lot of power dynamics and shifts that are incorrect and inappropriate on both sides, because the person being cared for may have expectations, and then resentment builds, and then the person that is caring for them, and this goes for able-bodied relationships too, because the whole in sickness and in health and marriage, and a lot of people, as their partner ages, they can't deal with it either. So are you there? Hello? Hello? I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you. I don't know. Hello? I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Hello? Come back into the meeting. Oh, there you go. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, there's so much guilt sometimes that can occur on both sides of the equation when it comes to caregiving for a loved one. And just to traverse that, there's so much emotional labor that is occurring, and people think they can handle it, and they're tasked with, by society, they're being told that they can handle it. But then some people are just assholes and take advantage of people. I mean, there's no use in sort of pathologizing the reasons why she left and didn't, give you a bath. That's a crime. And
well, I mean, when I decided, I called my parents. I said, "Hey, this is not gonna work." I said, "I need to move back," and contacted my apartment complex. And my parents, like, they were hoping that it worked, but they knew that wouldn't have worked. And so I called my apartment complex and I said, "Hey, can I get my old apartment back?" and they're like, "Yeah, you can move back." Yeah, I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I spent another couple $1,000s to move back from from the place I was at to where I'm at now. And so and I don't regret it. I don't.
Well, you had to try.
I was hurt. I hurt, but I don't regret it.
You had to try. And in full disclosure, me and Ryan had a little bit of a falling out during that time.
You warned me. You fucking warned me about it. And I'm like, nah, I'm just okay.
I did. I tried. Unfortunately, I stereotyped her by sight. And I was like, oh, yeah. What's her name? Oh, yeah.
Angel.
And what's her profession? Oh, yeah. I've seen this one a time or two. Yeah. By the way, I'm a former indie rock riot girl babe who has had
it's like that song, "I'm in love with a stripper."
Of different experiences. So I've had my times hanging out with strippers, and Angel were always problematic. Let me just tell you. But this is, I don't know her personally, so I don't want to,
No, I mean, I want to be. And the time that we were together, it was amazing. I loved her. I know she loved me. She loved her in her way, but she wasn't ready to be a lover and a caregiver, and I don't think she was ready for that two roles. She would have to play two roles, or we would have to move into a house and completely remodel it for me just to live in the house.
Yeah.
So we opted in not spending that money and moving to an apartment complex because she said she would help me. And that's where That's the cause of the breakup.
There's different yeah, I always recommend that when couples enter into a relationship, specifically when they live together like that, that you need to hire outside help. I mean, it rarely works. Sometimes it does work. I've seen it work, but it's
Yeah,
rare.
well, I mean, if I were getting into another relationship, that would be something I would look into, is to have a caregiver to come out and do it for me, help me out where they don't put won't so we don't put a weight on my partner. I don't want to do that anymore.
Undue burden. And let me just say that is not lost on the disabled community at large, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that the cost of caregiving is so astronomical. And so there's a barrier to care. So people are just in a predicament, right? And but yeah, in my case, I am let me just say before I go into this, he's not available for comment. My ex-husband is not available for comment, but I've done a lot of inner work and frankly counseling about, and I've had a lot of epiphanies about how, someone that absolutely loved, like you said, that she loved you. I know that my ex-husband loved me to the core of his being. Our soul was intertwined.
Yeah.
Now, we were 20 something years old, right? So but that is real. That is real. And I often say it was beautiful and amazing and fun until it wasn't.
Yeah.
But then it's like, we go through as disabled people, people just flip the script. And what I've realized is that is also a form of ableism, because they never actually saw us, and they're not aware. They're not aware that they're doing
Yeah,
it.
of course. Yeah.
They never actually saw us as whole human beings, deserved of equal respect and love. They saw us as someone. I don't even think my ex-husband realizes this. I don't think he has the foresight to unpack the ableist ways in which he treated me our entire relationship. He never saw me as an equal, so therefore he could justify, and actually that got him a lot of accolades in the community. But therefore, when it went bad, he could also then justify cheating on me. And there's a whole nother aspect to that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe now, looking back on it, and I wouldn't have said this 5 years ago, that particularly, again, he's not here to defend himself, or he's not available for comment.
Right.
So I don't know this to be true. But I believe he had some sort of I don't want to distill our whole relationship down to a fetish, because it wasn't. You don't spend 15 years with somebody because they're in a fetish with you. But
well, I mean, it's the same thing with her. With my shit, I wasn't a fetish for her. I know that for a fact.
There was behavior previous to our marriage, and behavior I've heard afterwards that let me know that this is sort of his thing that he does, because he's a narcissist. And I'm not trying to diagnose anybody, but I was in therapy with him briefly, and that's what was alluded to, right? So I have some sort of clinical knowledge of it, and so I don't just say that. I think people throw that word around a lot. I think that what we're both discussing is we unmasked the narcissist in each of our partners. Like, your partner had a different sort of narcissism, like the savior complex narcissism, and my partner had like a do-gooder narcissism, like he wanted to be seen as a do-gooder in society. And actually, that's still true for him today. And so it's like, wow, to reflect on your entire relationship and realize that that's actually what happened is kind of a mind fuck. Not to say, and let me tell you, that was a long time ago and I've moved on from it, but I think it's okay to say what actually happened. And I've had lots of other relationships. And what I also want to say is, like, we've had healthy, beneficial relationships as disabled people. We don't always have, like, fucked up, like, relationships that don't work because we're disabled. That's also a stereotype, that you're dating some loser. It's, all your relationships end up not working. That's not true. I've dated a lot of people. You're an example of a success. I've dated a lot of people that I have great relationships with today. It's just, we just became friends, and it's a healthy scenario. I've also had positive breakups.
Well, let me stop there. The relationship that you and I have, especially now coming back together, is, after a while being apart, do you have the same kind of connection with others as you do with me, even though it's just more of a friendship aspect of it?
I think when you're disabled, I think you tend to, your friendships and relationships are deeper because there's more at stake when you let people in. When we let people in, we really let people in. And some people stereotype that as being arrogant or something like that. They stereotype, they're not really prepared for the way in which we have to build support structures around our friends and lovers and neighbors and family members. So they can stereotype us a lot. I've been accused of making the whole conversation all about me, and that's not necessarily true. I'm just trying to let them in on, the support structure that is needed until I can be my friend, and I think one of the things that I really love about our friendship is you get that, and I can talk about the support structures that I need without it being seen as rude or over the top. So thank you for that. There's just so much historically. There's so much historically that we could go into about, the ins and outs and pitfalls of dating, particularly interabled, particularly in a specific alternative community. I think sometimes the alternative community you'd think they'd be more accepting of someone with a disability. And I found that, which is why I'm in alternative communities most of the time. A guy that goes to the country club isn't going to want to show me off at the country club. He's just not, he's not tipping for me.
Okay, let me ask this question. Between an able-bodied person and a disabled person, what are the pros of an able-bodied person compared to a disabled person in a relationship aspect?
I can't really answer that. I think that the assumption is, and I've seen this in my own life when I've rarely dated disabled men, but I have dated disabled men, and I really I don't have to explain myself, or there's less of an explanation that you have. You don't have to have I really like that I don't have to explain myself when I'm dating a disabled man. Now, they have their own assumptions about their own disabilities sometimes, like you said. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're often explaining yourself, but it's just not an issue. Right? It's not
right. I don't have a preference per se. I've dated 2 disabled persons and maybe 5 able-bodied person. I think 7 altogether. 7 relationships, meaningful ones. Of course, I turned into toxic later. I want to give you a story. Remember my ex, Raina? Remember her?
I somewhat remember. It's all a blur. All your
Okay.
women are just
Well,
blurs.
I know it's been a while. No, what happened is we were about to move in together, as you know, as how my story always starts with. Um, we were having problems and when we broke up. The day that it was New Year's Eve, and my parents have a tradition to have Black Eyed Peas and all for the luck bullshit thing,
Yeah.
and so we did that. We went over on the way over there. Um, we got in a big fight. I have no fucking recall what the fight was, but we
Yeah.
were driving down the road, and hold on, we drove down the road. She was arguing with me about something. I told her we need let's talk about it later. Let's go to my parents, and we can approach it when we get back.
Right.
And I don't know where she started punching me in my stomach when I was driving a goddamn car.
Oh my god. Oh
And
my god.
yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? So we got to my parents, and I went up to I said, I need to talk to you privately, man. So I told her what happened, and she goes, he better get to move. He better not marry that woman. I said, I'm not going to marry her. So we were going to premarital counseling. That was
Mm.
a thing we were going to get married within the church that we were involved with. And so that was a prerequisite for us to get married there is that we had to go through counseling.
You
And
don't
so
ableism of the church, and they sit there and they apply this able-bodied logic of, oh, whatever the Lord has in store for you, you just
well, no,
wait.
there's not that kind of church. It was a progressive church. It was a very progressive type of church. Yeah.
I'm just
So,
something
but yeah. Well, unfortunately, like, that's what a church today is known for, that kind of thing. But a progressive church is different. But anyways, um,
and
so we were going to counseling.
I always tell disabled women, if they want a partner, they kind of have to slut themselves up a little bit. So, like, waiting for the Lord to bestow a boyfriend on you is not going to work. you know, like, you kind of got to put yourself out there, ladies. But
Yep.
yeah.
So we were going counseling, and we were scheduled to come back on Monday, and so I dropped her off at her house. We weren't living together yet, so I dropped her off at her house, and then I came home, and then I didn't talk to her for the whole day on Sunday. I did not talk to her. I avoided her. She called me 150 times, and I did not answer the goddamn phone. So, anyways, Monday came around. I woke up. Of course, I missed a couple of phone calls from her, and she's like, "Are we still going to counseling?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I went and picked her up, drove there, and of course, guess what she said? Oh, we had a wonderful New Year's. We had a great time. I spent time with mommy, with Ryan, his mom and dad, his family. We met and everything. And I'm standing up next to her. I'm looking at her. I was looking at the pastor. I was looking at her. I'm like looking at the pastor. I'm like, I said, hey, we got to interrupt here. I don't know what world that you live in compared to what we had in the weekend when you're like all lovey-dovey now, but here we are. You wanted to fucking hit me when we're driving in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told her this is bullshit. I'm done. And what I did, I told the pastor, I said, hey, I'm sorry to waste your time. This is horrible, but I'm done. I'm not marrying this woman. So I got up and I left her. I left her there. I went home. How she got home, I don't know.
It's a good thing that you did that in a counselor's office. The Sinead O'Connor song, "The Last Day of Our Acquaintance," I've literally had where art is imitating life with breakups in the counselor's office myself. But in another podcast, maybe I want to explore sort of the the again ableist assumption that maybe somebody with a mental disability that's not readily apparent has about dating someone with a physical disability. I don't know if you have experienced this, but I've run into, maybe it's just because I'm a creative, I've run into a lot of bipolar men that believe that, you know, that their problems are going to be covered up by my problems or my perceived problems. I think that's
Okay.
what happened in my last relationship, where, you know, he was disabled and he was more disabled than me. He just he didn't uh acknowledge that. And I finally broke it down to him. I said, you know, your unwillingness to treat your bipolar disorder would be like me throwing away my crutches on the floor, like throwing them in the trash and going, I don't have cerebral palsy, and then being mad at you then being mad at you because I fell down. He's like, oh, it's not the same thing. It's not, I mean, I attempted, it was so horrible. I attempted to break that down to him. It took me hours to do so. But I think that I think sometimes that people with problems assume that we are going to be able to absorb their problems. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And I've stopped doing that for people.
Right. I know.
It took me a while. I'm an empath, so it's hard. Um, and but that being said, my phone's at 7% too. But
Okay.
that being said, I want public to know that there are a lot of differing issues that you have as a disabled person out here dating, and they're not necessarily the issues that everyone would think of, you know. I think people can perceive that we would have problems, but they're not necessarily the same issues as everyone would think of because
No.
they don't perceive them as problems, like, you know. But there's so much that we could cover in this topic. It's almost like a two-parter. We've
Yeah,
sort
I
of been,
mean, there's a lot more to it than what we can give out. To that audience, I think we need to wrap up here in a minute, anyways. For the audience, this ongoing thing of being disabled in person, it won't go away. It's going to continue. This is why I do my podcast. It's just the stories of this labeled Dolly Diva and Mr. Wheels. This is going to be a platform for the voices of people who are not able to express. I want to have this avenue, this avenue, this doorway for people to come up, and I'm imploring of other creators on the platform to join us, to have a voice, to have a conversation. So I want to have it where they can express themselves. And this is why I want you to be a part of it as well.
I want to say too that, you know, we're not the only perspective of disability here. We're not
Right,
saying that.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. But I think we bring a fresh perspective and maybe talk about things that other people are unwilling to talk about, or they've never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my perspectives on disability in society are constantly evolving myself. It's like you
Oh
think
yeah.
at 50,
Same here.
you think at 50 years old I would kind of know what's going on. I don't know. It's like, wow, I keep having these epiphanies and reflections on everything I've been through in my life. And it's, you come away with like a fresh perspective. And I've learned to, I guess I'm still learning to not mourn when I have not reacted properly to the ableism that occurs. And there's been ableism in my relationships as well.
Yeah.
And it's okay to admit that, you know.
And I was, whoa, what the heck? How the hell did that happen? I think my camera automatically does that. No, I was in a TikTok video, not type video, but a live, and they had a topic about how abuse, where people you call somebody an idiot. That term can be a ableist term regarding
Is
people because people use that word idiot
the language
as
evolved
someone
though.
language has to do with language, and words and language has power. We have to remember that,
I think that conversation is nuanced because you cannot
Yeah.
get mired down and, oh, you called somebody an idiot, you're ableist, and then that's what you. The
Well,
larger
it's intent
discussion is
behind it. It's intent behind it.
the larger discussion is never had because somebody is being the language police. I
Yeah.
don't like that either. That's ableist in itself. Because you're because nobody responds to, hey, you said this word and wrong, and nobody ever says, oh, I'll stop using that every day of my life. It's like they just get annoyed. So then your larger premise is never addressed. It's a way being the constant language police. I'm not saying everything should just be overlooked, but being the constant language police when it comes to ableist, when you're going to talk about ableism, is a distraction. Sometimes you have to meet people where they are, and if they have incorrect language, constantly admonishing someone for that is not really going to accomplish your goal. So
Right.
I'm a Gen X, liberal, and I'm very a traditional liberal. So I like to think that I have common sense, and sometimes the far left does not have common sense
Yeah,
because
the far left can be that way. Yeah, the far left can be as bad as the far right.
narcissism it is. So I don't know how effectively we touched on the topic of disabled dating because we have so.
Well, we did, and we talked a little bit about it, and I think it is more the lines of introducing ourselves within our the podcast community.
What know people that are watching this is, we are both Ryan and I are in a place of involuntary, of voluntary not dating, voluntarily not dating for the first time in my life. That's been interesting.
I know it's difficult, not difficult, but it's self-reflection.
Correct. Especially as a woman, because sexuality empowers me. So, but as I get older, I realized that I have a lot of pretty privilege. Not to say that I'm like the hottest thing in the universe, but as I get older, and I think older women go through this, but it's like kind of a mind fuck to realize, like, not everyone is seeing me as a sexual being, and that is that my and then another thing I want to talk about later on is like sexuality. Female sexuality empowers the disabled body. Sexuality in general empowers the disabled body, and I know a lot of women do not feel empowered by it.
Right.
But that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, maybe when we can do part 2 after this one, we can continue on. Yeah.
I mean, I think we brought up a lot of topics. This is just the beginning of it. But yeah, from the perspective of me and Ryan we're not dating each other. And we're not dating in general. And I think we're reflecting on our experiences that we have had in the past. And we have had a lot of experiences with a lot of people. And that's why we have the perspectives that we do, not because there's an absence of experience. That's a stereotype.
That's for sure. All right. Well, you want to do the last word?
Yeah, I guess another thing that I want to talk about next time is like, there's also a perception, and let me know if I'm wrong here or if it's different for you because you're a guy. That if you do talk about these things in public, that you're embellishing your life or that you're making shit up, because the stereotype is that you haven't had a relationship or you can't get a relationship or no one will want to fuck you. That is not true at all. However, but I've been accused of, like, just, because I'm a pretty gregarious, extroverted person. So, not to my face, but my other friends have told me, hey, when you left, this other bitch came up to us and said, like, oh, I don't think that's true what she said. I think she's lying.
About
Like,
what?
about my relationship, or my, like, I'm recounting
Oh,
recounting a date. I think I was in that instance, I was recounting a date, and like literally strangers, they have a perception, and if you don't follow if that narrative, then they think that you're not telling the truth. And like I never even saw this person in my life, and like I'm like, and then it's like there's a whole narrative about like if you talk about it too much, you're a slut. If you don't talk about it enough,
yeah,
then you're a
yeah.
loser who's never been laid, or you're an incel. And
But
so
that's a whole different topic because it's like if you love, and especially as a woman for yourself, oh, a woman loves to have sex. Oh, she's a whore, or that kind of thing.
yeah,
I think that is a very terrible thing to do because just because someone like, especially a woman, loves sex, dude, fuck it, do it, have fun. Be safe about it.
conflicting and protected. Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
get tested, people. But like, yeah, I think there's just so much to explore and unpack here. We haven't done a very good job of it today, but hey,
No, well, yeah,
that
no. What continue? I think it's going to turn into a series.
I think we did a very good job in introducing the topic. So anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this enlightening session. And I don't know, Barbie. Do you get laid, Barbie? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do.
All right, well, guys, I just want to say thank you for listening, and I really do appreciate it for this label, Dolly Diva. Thank you for being here.
I have a topic of discussion for Barbie next time. Is Ken gay or bisexual?
That's a whole different topic. Androgynous or androgynous. All right, well, all right, guys. I just want to say, go ahead.
Thank you for this topic, and I hope to discuss it more.
Me too. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to Mr. Will's podcast, and I really do appreciate like and subscribe to this and follow and support if you can. I do have a pay apps in my website. I do have merchandise on my website. Go to MrWheels76.com. I will put it on the address into the bottom of the discussion panel here. So I really do appreciate it, and thank you, Damien, for being here. You were thank you.
Go to my website, thislabeldollydiva.com, and there is a support button. Your donation would not be tax deductible because I'm an LLC, nor is it a charitable.
Same here. Same here.
Nor is it a charitable thing, but if you'd like to support my work in disability justice, you can go to thislabeldollydiva.com, and it's all safe payment platform through Stripe.
And also, I'll put your link in the bio as well.
Thislabeldollydiva.com. Yay! All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. All right. Next week.
Great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.